So then I went into my boss's office and I stormed in, man. I kicked that door open and I was like, you give me that raise right now or I'm walking out, Jack.
Oh my God, then what happened?
Then I woke up. Hello and welcome to the You Show Show. It is the show where you show things. I am your host, Kelvin Laser McMurray, and today I am joined by my good friend Zeke. Hello, Zeke.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for being here.
No problem.
You are to me Zeke, but to some others you are Stephanie Adrian, and to some you're Stephanie Adrian, also known as Zeke. But to me you're Zeke first, Stephanie Adrian second.
Yes, I did that on purpose.
Yes. What do you think is the percentage ratio? Like Zeke's to Stephanie's and Stephanie's to Zeke? 60-40?
Well, most of my friends call me Zeke. Like people that know me call me Zeke. Stephanie's more for like professional stuff. So, and like my parents even call me Zeke at this point, which is kind of ridiculous.
I've heard your mom call you Stephanie, and it's one of those things that's always like, for anyone listening, yeah, we always go to a beach house every year in North Carolina, and we're there with Zeke's mom, and every time she says Stephanie, like both Nat and I kind of look at each other and we're like, oh yeah, that one, like I know her, yeah, that's our friend standing right there, that's her.
Yeah, there's always kind of a collective Scooby-Doo noise, like a.
Exactly, but
Yeah.
But thank you for coming on for the show today. My good friend Zeke, she is my girlfriend and I's. You are one of many of our North Carolina friends. Zeke is a mental health counselor, and Zeke, you also you run and operate your own business. Do you want to talk about that for a minute?
Yeah, sure. I opened my own counseling practice over a year ago now. It's Fulcrum Counseling and Consultation in North Carolina, and you can find it on the web at www.fulcrumcounselingnc.com.
Nice. If anyone's interested in some mental health counseling, and, do you do it online or just like North Carolina people only, or could it be anyone anywhere?
Well, thanks to COVID, I am doing everything virtually, but they have to be in North Carolina.
Gotcha. Okay.
Sorry, guys. Wah, wah.
So you other 49 staters, man, you guys are fucked. But everyone else, you're good. You're good to go.
Sorry.
It's all good. But yeah, we met. Gosh, 3 years ago, 4. I don't even know, dog. It's 4 years ago. 4 years ago. 3 years ago.
On the test. I don't know. It's
I
been
didn't study it. But we met. You and I. We met on a picnic table at a bar in North Carolina when I had first come. You're very good friends with my girlfriend Nat, short for Natalie, and you and Nat met when she lived in North Carolina. So through my girlfriend, you and I met, and that's how we met on a picnic table at a bar in North Carolina 3, possibly 4 years ago.
That's amazing. That's so wild. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like yesterday. And then we also go every year to, we go to the Outer Banks. If anyone is listening, if you ever need an amazing 10 out of 10 vacation, destination, relaxation, fun place, the Outer Banks is amazing. You guys showed me that, and I love it. I love going there.
Absolutely love the beach.
Obviously did not go there this year because of this little doo ditty known as a pandemic, but
oh yeah. Next year. Hopefully we'll all get our COVID shots and we'll be able to go to the beach.
Zeke, you picked television shows to talk about.
I did.
And for me to watch, you picked the wonderful, amazing TV show Schitt's Creek.
Oh my God, I love it so much. Yes.
I really liked it too. I thought it was very funny. And then for you to watch, I picked Netflix F is for Family. With Bill Burr, and you're like, and
which I did like. I realize I gave you the impression that I didn't like it, but I did like it.
Okay, good. I like it too. It's a bizarre show for sure.
It takes a warming up period.
Oh, for sure, absolutely. Well, I would say you are the guest. You are my friend. Do you have a preference, I guess, on which is today's episode going to be about?
Well, I have my notes open for F is for Family, so let's start with that one.
Okay. All right. Today's episode is F is for Family. It is a TV show created by Bill Burr, the stand-up comedian. We'll get into him in a minute. So I guess let's start with, you did like it.
I did. I did. Well, so the first episode, I finished the first episode being like, Calvin, who hurt you? Like, why do you like this so much? But I'm also like we're in two very different places watching this. Like, I'm a counselor and a mother,
Mm-hmm.
and you're a weirdo, obviously. But no, I
Yes.
like I think we had two really different perspectives on it. But it definitely, that first episode, I was just like, what did you do to me?
Why are we here? Yeah.
Yeah, it was intense.
It is intense. I would, so I guess starting at the beginning, it's, so again, it's a show. It is created by the comedian and I would say at this point fairly well known actor.
Oh
He's
yeah.
starting to ramp up in the acting scene as well. He was in Chappelle Show, Breaking Bad. He was in the recent The King of Staten Island, which actually I think might be my favorite Judd Apatow movie, which is really saying something because I don't really like his movies, but I did really like that. I give it a
I
two
haven't
thumbs
seen
up.
it. I know it's what Pete, what's his name's in it?
Pete Holmes from Saturday Night Live, and
Yeah.
he does a really good job. I really like him. He also has a stand up as well. I think it's on HBO. That's really good. He makes a joke about Louis C.K. that I had to pause it. I was laughing. I was laughing so hard. But Bill Burr, I followed Bill Burr for quite a while because I liked his earlier stand-ups. I like his new ones as well. But as I always like to say, back when he had hair, you can always, it's always like up and coming Bill Burr has hair, and then as soon as it's bald, it's like, okay, that's where you got famous. Everything after that
Right.
is when people started figuring out who you were.
Obviously
And
the stress.
yeah,
Being Bill.
yeah. And Bill Burr is 1,000,000% a comedian. I feel like you either love him or you hate him, and I understand both spectrums. I do. He's not for everybody. He's
Right.
very intense. He says things that are not politically correct. He was on Saturday Night Live recently, and he got a little bit of, not trouble, but I guess a little bit of heat.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was talking about how he's like, because he's always joked for seriously probably over 10 years how he's like, almost all of his specials he's talking about how like more than half the population has to die because there's like too many of us. So now there's this pandemic going, and he's like I gotta get back on that platform, and he made some jokes in the middle of a pandemic that didn't really, I don't, because a lot of people, a lot of different types of people watch SNL, and it didn't sync very well. I thought it was hilarious, but
Sure.
again, I am who I am. It takes quite a minute to offend me. So I guess, do you like, besides obviously it's a family, like going into it, did you know anything about the show, or did you know anything about Bill Burr?
No, I knew absolutely nothing. And in fact, I didn't know that Bill Burr was like, I didn't know who was associated with it. I just went in completely blind. I had seen some ads for it, but I didn't expect what I got in that first episode. uh, and that's not a bad thing. I mean, it was much more realistic to an extent, right? I mean, obviously there are several caricatures and stereotypes used, but like it was much more serious
Yeah.
than I thought it was going to be. Like I expected more levity from it.
And the one thing, it's the weirdest thing about the show. We'll get into the synopsis, I guess, in a minute. But yes, it's an over the top cartoon. It's animated, and you kind of hate everyone in it. And then there just comes these moments though where you're like, actually, I really like these people at very, 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 very specific select moments, and then it
Right.
just goes back into the trenches of like, oh yeah, everything in life is shit. Thanks for reminding me, Bill Burr. I appreciate it, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for that reality check, Bill.
Yeah, that's what I need when I just trying to relax on my couch. So I guess the show. Well, I guess what's the show? What's it about? Yeah, it's It takes place in the 70s. I think it starts in 1973 because I had just rewatched it for this, and I
Right.
saw 1973 was on the answering machine, um, and it's loosely based off of Bill Burr's life because the middle child, the middle son, A, has red hair like Bill Burr,
Right.
and B, his name is William. And then they've changed their last name to Murphy, so it's the Murphy family. And it is, if you follow Bill Burr's comedy over the years, he's told jokes about his father a lot. And those jokes that he's made throughout the years are the things that his dad says. The character Frank, the father figure in the show, voiced by Bill Burr, is exactly that. So you can tell this is a very, very, I would say, loose general story of his family and maybe some of the things that he had to deal with growing up.
Right.
With the emphasis being, Frank, the father, who is the main character of the story. And from there, I guess, what is it about? It's about a family. There we go.
It's about a family. And the thing that I think is really interesting is that both the shows that we picked are about families, like specifically about families that don't communicate very well. But yeah, so you've got Frank Murphy and his wife Sue and 3 kids. So Kevin's the oldest, and then Bill, who's 14.
Yep.
And then Maureen, who's their little girl.
Yep.
I don't know. Maureen's got to be like, 7 or 8? I mean, she's younger.
She's the youngest, yeah. So
Yeah.
somewhere in that range. That's his wife Sue that's Laura Dern, which is amazing. She's
awesome.
Yes. And then I also love that Kevin is Justin Long of like all the people in the world. They got him, and I remember watching the show and I know that voice, but I had to look it up, because I think I watched the whole season, the first season, in one night. I was kind of excited for the show because I like Bill Burr.
Well, and they're like 30-minute episodes, and I don't think I realized that there's only 6 episodes in the first season, and so I was watching it, and then I was like, oh shit, I'm like on the 3rd episode of the 2nd season. What happened here? So it goes by quick.
And I think the 2nd season, I think they start expanding. I think there's more episodes in the 2nd season, and I haven't had time to watch the 3rd one yet. I think it just came out.
There's 4. The 4th season just came out.
Oh man,
on Netflix.
Man, I am so far behind then. Maybe I did watch the 3rd season. I don't even know, man. I'm terrible with TV shows.
That's okay. I have my cheat sheet open. I actually have Netflix open on my computer because I am terrible with names and stuff.
Oh, me too.
So there's 10 episodes in the 2nd season. Yeah.
What the fuck did you do, you pyromaniac?
It was an accident.
An accident is clipping a guy changing his tire on the interstate who was wearing dark clothes and he didn't light a flare. Then it turns out he's a cop. So it'll be his word against yours. And who do you think the judge is gonna believe? Huh? So you keep going, and you get your fender painted in a different state. That is an accident.
But the first season is about Frank, this dad who is just pretty much he's your all American dad. He joined the military. He fought for our country. Yep, he was in the Korean War. He has a wife and 3 kids, and he lives in a nice suburban home. And right from that, it's like, yeah, everything should seemingly be fine, right? And then we go into their house, and you begin to see the cracks of this family. And I think that is where the show will kind of make or break people, because it, by all definition, is a family television show. It's just not family friendly.
Right.
You know, all those like family TV shows growing up in the 90s, it was always at the end of the episode, the daughter returned the stolen hairbrush to the mall, and the family pardoned her, and they all hugged, and it was great. And this show's like, no, that's not happening here. This show is like, if you steal, the dad's gonna scream at you, threaten to conduct physical violence on you, and then
I'm gonna
probably
put you through a wall. Yeah, the whole thing. I don't know how many times he says that.
I'm glad you said it.
Build a wall and put you through it.
That is my favorite line in the whole show. There is, in the last episode of this is no spoilers or anything. At the last episode of the first season, he's outside yelling at his kids, and and he says something like, he's like, I swear to God, I'm gonna put you through a fucking wall. And then Kevin's like, Dad, we're outside. There aren't even walls out here. And he's like, you could start building walls right now, and you could build them for 10 years straight, and there still wouldn't be enough fucking walls that I couldn't put you through. Oh my God.
Oh, so help me God. If I started building walls today and didn't stop for the next 10 years, there still wouldn't be enough of them to fucking put you through!
So here's this man who incites violence on his children, and then to me, the show is a dumb comedy cartoon, but there are themes in this show. They're not super deep. They're not super challenging, but they're there.
I don't know. Some of them are. But anyway, go ahead. Yeah.
But the one thing that the reason that I like the show for a couple of reasons, but one of the reasons that I like it is that it's a show. Okay, so every good show has your hero, and obviously as story developed over time, we were granted the anti-hero. Characters like Walter White from Breaking Bad. You could say Don Draper from Mad Men, sure. Tony Soprano from The Sopranos. These are people that do terrible things to other human beings, and you're not rooting for them, but you need to see where they go.
Right.
A classic example is Patrick Bateman from American Psycho. The director of that movie, Diane, I can't remember her last name, she said in a lot of interviews that people would come up to her and they would say things like, I identify with Patrick Bateman because they think he's a cool guy. He's rich and he's sexy and he's got good hair and he's whatever, and he kills people. And she said literally people.
Yeah, but does he? No, go ahead.
Exactly.
Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. It's like, no, he's fucked up. Like, and she would say that to these people that said that to her. Like, why would you tell anyone in this world that you relate to Patrick Bateman? He's used as a vessel, as a warning label to the rest of society of what not to be. And Frank, our main character, is exactly that. If you want to take a course on not how to father and, in my opinion, not how to husband, watch this show, because he is just the epitome of being an asshole. Is he ignorant? Yes. And does that excuse him? No. But I would say that's his rationale behind it, is because, again, he lived the American life. He has some weird vision in his head, I think, of how his life and the life is supposed to be. Oh
no, I mean, he legitimately thinks he's doing the right thing. Mm-hmm. He thinks he's doing things the best way he can. And even though he talks about violence to his kids, I don't know that we ever see him commit violence on his kids. Do we? We never actually see anybody, he doesn't actually hit anybody. At least not his kids during the course of it.
He starts fights with other people, adults, but I don't think he ever hurts his kids. He beats the shit out of a couple people. I just want to make it
clear that he doesn't actually hit his kids. He just it's his way of trying to maintain power in the home, right?
Yeah.
Because he's obviously just lost complete control of his life.
Yes, exactly. Yes. And so then the one thing that I can see, one of the themes is that then, so like you were just saying, he doesn't do violence, but he talks about it. He's angry 24/7. And as a result, you can see it generationally passed down to his kids.
Get away from her! I can't breathe. You just got the wind knocked out of you.
I bet I can go higher this time.
Jesus Christ, Maureen, what's wrong with you? All day long, if it's not one thing, it's another. I'm just trying to protect you. Do you have a death wish, you stupid fuck?
His kids and even his wife all do it. And, whether is he the source, the stem, I don't know, but it's kind of, easy to say yes. And so it's a really bizarre show, because it's if you watch it, should you root for this guy? Should you feel bad for this guy? I don't really know. What do you think?
I mean, it's interesting because I thought about it a lot, a lot, because I didn't want to. You recommended this show to me because it's something you really love, and I didn't want to just like shit all over it. So I was like, no, I really and it. As I watched it, it definitely changed my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Right, like you get a lot more of the background story of why Frank is Frank, and that makes a big difference to me personally, that like knowing about his experiences in Korea, which are only really alluded to,
Yeah.
right? Like they never show flashbacks or anything really, but he'll say stuff like, I didn't die on a battlefield in Korea for 10 minutes to put up with your bullshit. And it's just like, whoa, dude, you went through some serious trauma.
Yeah.
You know, and you also get the impression that maybe his dad was physically violent. Like
Yes.
his dad was that kind of dad that he pretends to be, but he doesn't really have the heart to follow through on it. Like, or not the heart. He has too much heart
Yeah.
to follow through on it. And that's what kind of endeared me to him over the course of the series, was that you start seeing these moments of reflection
Yeah.
in him where he's like, oh, fuck, what have I done? You know, or like, what am I doing? And he tries to make amends.
Yeah.
Of course, he goes back and does other fucked up stuff, but like, you know, he kind of wavers in between, and it makes him seem more realistic
Mm-hmm.
than just being, like straight up a bad dude. You know, like he's not a bad dude. He's a bad dude he's a like a neutral person. He's like just a person in the world who's trying to do the best he can.
And it just feels like he's one of those. He's 100% one of the like the Sisyphus characters that the second he gets the boulder to the top of the hill, man, it just rolls right back down. And I feel like he's aware of it, but he doesn't accept it. And so I think that's a lot of his, because you know he can't accept. You see a lot in the show. The one thing I will say about his character is there's things of acceptance that he is 100% not on board.
Right.
And there is a lot of clues hidden in the show also to that. You know, there's TV shows with people of color, and it's just this, like, it's just because it's from the 70s where they used to just say like crazy shit that just would not fly at all today. Same issues with women. There's a scene where it's Halloween and Maureen is like, I want to be Mr. Peanut, and he's like, that's a man. And then she's like, I want to be an astronaut, and he's like, that's a man. I want to be a vampire, and he's like, that's a man. And then the wife Sue says, well, someday women will go to outer space. And he just looks at her and he's like, why would you encourage our daughter like that? We all know it's not happening. So it's just, again, it's like these acceptance. And I feel like this, I like that the show set in the 70s, because I feel like the 60s and 70s was a very radical time in America where these issues blew up. It's like the big bang of, you know, the start of a lot of issues that we're still obviously, you know, still dealing with today, but it started heavily in the 60s and 70s. And I feel like somebody who, you know, like Frank probably, I just feel like he grew up in like a small town, and his dad was everything. Whatever his dad said, that just happened. They stayed in the town, and they went to like town dinners, and now they're in an era where music is getting weirder and art is getting more bizarre and drug influence is starting to take hold of this country. And so it's like this moment where it's like you almost feel kind of bad for him because he's getting left behind. But it's also like, well, that's also the problem, is because he's maybe willingly or unwillingly choosing to stay behind, that's what's making him angry. So it's this really kind of bizarre, weird catch-22.
Well, he had this idea that he was supposed to have this life.
Mm-hmm.
And then he did everything he was supposed to do, got the life, and it's not what he wanted. And then everybody else is moving on. Like the newer generation is moving on to a different kind of ideal. And he's like, but this was supposed to be it.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, like his job doesn't make things any. I think if he had a regular, steady job that he made enough money at, it would make everything different.
Oh, 1,000,000%. And
I think he thinks that too, you know?
Yeah, and so if you haven't seen the show, he works for Mohican Airways, who make super racial advertisements. They're just like, oh my god.
Unbelievable! It's on again!
How?
Does Mohican have the best comfort?
How?
Has Mohican been named top Great Lakes region airline 4 years running?
How?
No, Chief Feathercorn. The question isn't how, but when. When will you fly Mohican?
Mohican Airways. Your comfort is our chief concern.
Blinker?
No!
The job is miserable, and I feel like that's definitely a point to him. The show, the story, and his character is that it's a miserable job, and it creates the one other theme of the show is kind of its duality, picking the right side, and Frank is forced to look at. He gets a promotion for a very funny reason why he gets promoted. And now he has, kind of the, he has this union at the airway to look out after. He's got the, what do you call it? Like the baggage people, the people that are a little bit more, I guess, bottom
Yeah,
of the
like baggage
totem pole.
handlers.
Yeah. And they want, obviously, better benefits. I don't think they want a pay increase. I think they just want, like, more paid time off and better sick leave and so he's stuck in the middle between them and then the upper management, who is saying basically, don't you need to put them in their place. And it's stressful because he wants to get promoted. He wants to move ahead in his career. But then he also cares about the people because that's where he came from. And then that duality is also then split even later on as the show goes on between his job, himself, and his family. And so that theme is there of, when you pick a side, you really you have to be careful because if you pick the wrong side, you could wind up like this man, and that's the last thing anybody wants.
And you also find out that he wanted to be a pilot,
mm-hmm.
and then that didn't happen because Sue got pregnant.
Yep, by accident.
And then he ended up working at the airport handling baggage, and it's just like, oh god, okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
I get why he's pissed.
Yep.
I mean, I understand why he's unhappy.
Yeah, it slowly makes sense as the more and more you watch it.
God, everyone he works with is like a complete moron.
Oh yeah,
right? Like everyone is an idiot. I really thought it was very funny in the second episode when he takes Kevin, his oldest son, who's 17, 16, 17. I think he's 16. He takes him to the airport as like a punishment, right? For failing school or whatever. And his son just ends up going and getting stoned with the baggage handlers.
Yep.
And it's just like, oh man, like Frank tries so hard.
Yeah. And then it also kind of becomes fuel for Kevin to kind of make fun of him later, too. So even that kind of backfires on him. It was supposed to be this lesson, but then he's like, yeah, look at how big of a douche my dad is, And it's like, oh, shit.
It also gives them a chance. Again, spoilers, guys.
Yeah.
You signed up for this, right?
Yeah.
But it gives Kevin a chance to stand up for his dad.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like his dad's getting berated by somebody and Kevin steps in and saves the day. And then they get in the car and they make fun of how stupid this old lady was. Mm-hmm. And it's the first time you see a bonding moment between them. Yep. And that was the first redemptive moment for me in this show, was watching him connect with his son for just a hot second on something and then immediately back to fuck you. And
Doesn't that just rock your soul?
Yeah, I gotta tell you, I just don't get it.
Dad, you can't understand progressive rock for the first time. You gotta keep listening.
No, I don't. When you get to be my age, you can recognize bullshit right out of the gate.
the kids in this show. Dude, the kids in this show.
They're funny. That's
oh my god.
That scene too I actually really like because he lets so they leave the airport and they're driving back to the house and he lets Kevin play his favorite band. Oh my god, it's what is it called? The Cheshire of Frodo.
Oh god, it's like like Shire of Frodo or something like that.
That's
and
it.
like
Yeah.
It's just awful.
Yeah, it's that like it's that 70s like new wave like fantasy rock. I never
Yeah, it's like fantasy rock. It's terrible and like
it's
but
like it's the dudes from Spinal Tap. It's the same. It's essentially the same thing. Yeah, it's just like long ago in a forest far away.
Oh God, it's so bad. They go to a concert later.
They get booed off.
The guys get pulled off the stage, and the guys who take over are like the sexy British band that's like, ooh, sex you up, and it's so funny that they're just like, this is dumb, I'm out of here.
And I love though that Frank, he puts on the tape. And Kevin says something. He's like, "Dude, he's like, would you listen to this music?" He's like, "You gotta listen to it, several times to understand it." And Frank just looks at him and he goes, "No, I don't." He's like, "No, I don't."
A little bit of life experience makes that. It's like, no.
But that's the heart. That's the heart of the character. Because again, I couldn't imagine being a father. Like I'm 33 now, and I'm already at that point where like I'm starting to hear pop music, and I don't get it. I don't hate it. I'm not one of those people that's like, you fucking kids are calling this. Like, I get it.
I don't understand what the kids are talking about anymore. Yeah, no, I'm already there.
So it's like, again, it's really cool. He's a dad that puts his kid in the car and he drives with him and he lets him play his favorite band, which is pretty terrible. And again, it goes into the like, is this a guy that I'm supposed to care about? And I think I've always kind of felt too it would be interesting to watch this with, say, like my parents or people a little bit more of their age, not to
somebody who lived in the era though. I mean, like, yeah, that would be, because that was like my parents were born in the 50s. So we're in their 20s in the 70s, and like it's. Yeah, I think it'd be interesting to see what they think. Because all I could think of was like 8 is Enough and like that era of sitcoms too, where things were very different. Like those did not age well.
Yeah. And again, it's like those. It's the answer to the family television show. You know what I mean? Like, it's everything that is the complete opposite of all those happy good feel TV shows of the 70s, 80s, and 90s. But yeah, it's very vulgar. But I recommend the show. Would you maybe recommend it?
Oh yeah, definitely. I would recommend the show. I say, I realize, so the listener doesn't know this, but we had this phone call about like a month ago when we started watching these, and I know that I gave you the impression that I was like, I hate this so much, but like after we had that call was when I started watching like the second episode. I think this show definitely, the first season is growing pains.
Yeah,
and then as we get into other seasons and we start to like really get little bits and pieces of background, it makes you care more about the characters, and I definitely would recommend. I tell everybody whenever I recommend a show, I'm like, give it at least a 3-episode test.
Yeah.
Like if you watch the first episode of this show, you're not gonna. If you're not hooked, you're not gonna like. You'll get hooked if you watch a couple more episodes.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I would say anyone that if you're a fan of Bill Burr and you haven't seen the show, I do recommend it. But I would venture to bet most Bill Burr fans probably already have.
Well, and we've talked so much about Frank, and like we haven't really addressed the other characters in the show, which are where a lot of the humor lies. Is not so much with Frank, but with like the kids and the neighbor kids, right?
Oh yeah,
like the kids. So Maureen, especially the youngest child, hangs out with these neighbor kids who are like from the wrong side of the tracks.
Yes,
neglected children.
Yeah, heavily neglected children.
Like, I don't know how old this kid is, but he's too old to be in a diaper, and that diaper should have been changed like a week ago, right? Like he's just in this loaded diaper and a too small t-shirt.
Yep.
And they're such a caricature of like lower income households. I mean, I think they call them trailer trash, but like,
oh yeah,
but like they're just these kids that are always I don't know, like he was wearing a sheet of asbestos as a catcher's vest. And
Yep.
like,
And
just
using it simultaneously as a cup also, and he pulls it out of his diaper, and it's like, oh my god.
oh my God, that's where a lot of the humor is with these kids. And Maureen is just like, fuck you, I'm out, and like leaves and goes to hang out. There's what is it? This is the second episode, I guess, where he leaves Bill in charge of Maureen, and Maureen's just like, I'm going to climb this tree and fall onto a roof and land on a pile of leaves, and kind of everything she does, she is fine.
Yes. But he's panicking frantically the entire time because he knows his dad's going to just do horrible things if the daughter gets hurt because he left him in charge.
Okay, if anything bad happens to her, I want you to call me at work. Okay, buddy?
Sure, Dad.
Good. Because then I will come right home and I will put you through that fucking wall. Have a great day, princess.
And Bill is the heart of this show, right? He's the one that you're really supposed to feel for, right? This kid goes through trauma after trauma after trauma. Like, there's a scene at the football game,
yes,
where he goes in the men's restroom by himself.
Yep.
And it's just like, I just want to paint this picture for the listener. Like, this kid is at crotch height.
Yeah.
In a bathroom that has a huge trough. I've never been in one of those bathrooms, but I've heard horror stories.
Yes.
And there's all these men pissing, and like there's one guy vomiting, and like he just walks in and decides that he doesn't have to pee and walks back out again.
Traumatized with, by the sight, yeah.
Eyes, and all I could think was like, oh, you poor baby.
Yep.
So I've got a son who's 2, and like, I was just like, can't imagine Jack in that scenario.
Yep.
And I'm like, why is his dad not with him? And like, it's just so, I don't know. So poor Bill goes through so much. And he like tries so hard to be a good kid, but like Kevin's the fuck up and Maureen's the baby girl, and Bill just has this like immense middle child syndrome.
Daddy, Bill threw this cereal at me.
Knock it off, Bill.
She started it.
Well, I started you, and I can end you. Be nice to your sister. Someday you'll be sleeping on her couch after your first divorce.
Oh, for sure. And his character, I would say, has the most like life, you know, the outside world introduced unto him.
Right. I mean, he has like friends, and he has one friend who's a complete coward.
So. Yes.
He's like, every time somebody beats me up, I just curl into a ball and sing hot cross buns.
And he's like, oh, what's the line? He's like, I poked my baby brother's soft spot of his skull once, and I'm pretty certain that's why he can't read. It's just like, oh my god, this show is insane. The show doesn't care at all. And but yeah, Bill is definitely, he's not our main character, but he's definitely the heart of the show. And I feel like obviously the show, I don't think the show's not done yet, and I kind of have a feeling like his character is going to be the character that kind of goes through the arch of like seeing all of this crazy bizarre shit and kind of like claps his hand as like, all right, I'm out. Because there are some people, and I can definitely say that I've done that with my family, where it's like I just clap and it's like, I gotta go, I can't, you know what I mean? Like, and I had to go do all my own adventures, and I feel like that he's that character as well. Another character that I really like, and you get to know her more in the later seasons, but she is introduced in the first season, is Ginny. She is the wife who's always, she's got I can't do it, she's got that Yooper accent, that upper Wisconsin.
Oh God, is this the one with the husband?
Uh-huh.
The wife with the husband, of course. Yeah, no, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Oh, every time I see her, I'm cracking up. because that accent, I'm from Wisconsin.
I never would have guessed.
Yeah, you can hear it now. Anyone that's not from Wisconsin's like, yeah, no, we know, Calvin. Everyone from Wisconsin's like, you sound horrible to me. But yeah, her character is hilarious because that character 1,000,000% exists in Wisconsin right now. Like, Ginny is alive and well in Wisconsin right now. She's this character where you go up to her, hey, how you doing? Oh, my husband. And 20 minutes later, you're still standing there, and she's still complaining and venting about her life, and she's got this very funny Wisconsin accent. I would say Midwest accent.
Oh my God, she's amazing.
Oh,
yeah.
And then we figure out, but they even hint, because I just rewatched the first season for the show. They hint very, very, very subtly as to the problem in her and her husband's relationship. She says, I even cut my hair short and wore aftershave for him. And it's like, I didn't catch it the first time, but rewatching it, I was like, I get that joke now because I know where this is headed.
Oh yeah. It's terrible.
Oh, it's beyond terrible.
It's so funny though. No, but it's completely true. And that is also so era specific when we talk about gay being a thing at all was just starting to become part of the lexicon at that point. And
oh yeah. And like the thing about the show, people always say people that don't understand, I don't understand transgender people because, it wasn't a thing when I grew up. And it's like, no. It was. You just didn't see it. You know what I mean? Because of very, 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 very heavy and very serious reasons, it wasn't talked about. It was very, very pushed in the closet. Obviously, women's rights, homosexuality rights, these things, they just weren't talked about. And that there are little things in this show, I think, that do a great job that show that. Right. No, this person is gay. You just, not you, the audience member, but you, the character, don't know it because, again, you're willfully ignorant to the subject.
She just wants to save her marriage. And to be honest, her husband's very attractive, for a cartoon character. And, you kind of wonder why they're together to begin with. And then it's like, oh, that's right. She's his beard. I get it.
Yeah, I get it. Makes sense now. There's also other characters. There's the neighbor, Vic. That's it. I almost said Vincent.
Who's Sam Rockwell?
Sam Rockwell.
I have to look him up because I'm really good at recognizing voices and faces, but I don't know people's names, which is why I have my cheat sheet next to me.
That's funny.
But yeah, no, I wrote that down. I was like, Vic, it's Sam Rockwell is in my notes, who I love and everything he does. But
same.
But yeah, Vic is, because Vic sounds like what.
I thought he was when I first started watching the show. I thought it was Matthew McConaughey.
Right, he's definitely made to sound like Matthew McConaughey, but like specifically Matthew McConaughey of an era.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Like, all right, like that Matthew McConaughey.
Yep.
Victor, look at you, all grown up.
Oh, my sweet Jesus. It's Miss Saunders. I can't believe my eyes.
You two know each other?
Oh, yeah. Miss Saunders was my lunch lady at Eisenhower High.
And he was my special after-school helper. Remember how he cleaned the kitchen?
Yeah, you fucked the shit out of me.
Jesus Christ, Vic! Show some respect!
Sorry, neighbor. It's not me speaking, it's my chi.
And Vic works for the local radio station. He's a total cocaine-fueled party animal.
Oh my God.
Who also, again, actually probably has the most heart out of anyone in the whole show.
He's so sweet.
And he, too, is another character where, like, he even at one point in one episode, he says it twice in one of the episodes. He says to Frank, he says something to him. He's like, do you get what I'm saying? And Frank looks at him. He's like, I never understand what you're saying, because they could not be they're the two most farthest characters ever to exist. Here's this very militant-stricken man next to a cocaine-fueled kind of hippie radio rock star, and they're neighbors, and that right there is just hilarious in itself.
Well, and Vic doesn't have a family, and he always has these bimbos around him that are topless on the back of his motorcycle or topless in the seat of his sports car, or topless on his boat. He's surrounded by these women all the time, but I don't know how. There's several times where he says to Frank, "Man, you got it all."
Yep.
And I think he means it. I really get this feeling that even though Vic loves his life, obviously, he kind of wishes he had Frank's life. He kind of wishes he had a wife and kids, and a family, but of course his lifestyle doesn't exactly lead him in that direction.
No. And that's another thing that they go into in the show as well is Vic says several times, like you were just saying, hey, you got a wife and kids, and that's awesome. Even Ginny, when she's complaining about her husband, she says something to Sue to the effect of like, I'm sorry, my life can't be perfect like yours. But now that we've sat here for several episodes watching this family, their life is far from perfect. But then I think that's the point of the show in a weird way, is that it's the family dynamic is tough. It's tough to be a parent. It's tough to be a brother. It's tough to be a sister. It's tough to be a child. It's tough to be a husband and a wife. All these things. And so I think in a very weird way, that's kind of what the show's about. It's about saying if you have or came from a fucked up family, that's kind of normal. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, because they're definitely the most normal, air quotes, normal family on their block.
Mm-hmm.
Like everybody else is way weirder. But they're that like kind of like Norman Rockwell outside.
Yeah.
But we're getting this inside view. And Sue, oh my God, Sue!
I like
feel
Sue.
for her.
Yeah,
that like early on they talk about her. She's selling something. It's essentially
it's plastilware.
Plastilware. I was gonna say it's essentially Tupperware.
Yeah, it's a pyramid scheme,
right? But it's a pyramid scheme. It's completely like I don't know if you've done much like research into multi-level marketing or like there was a really cool podcast called The Dream.
Okay.
And the whole first season was about multi-level marketing, and it was like blew my mind. Because I mean, like I sold Avon when I was a teenager, and like growing up in the Midwest, I grew up in Kansas, and like all my family sold Shackley vitamins and like people, Tupperware and
Yep. My mom,
Avon and Mary Kay.
Yep. My mom had a friend, and it was like once every 3 months she was throwing one of those parties for Tupperware or makeup products or something. And after a while, I remember my mom was like, "Dude, fuck this!" Like, it's just you just show up and it's like buy stuff. It's like this isn't a party. You're trying to sell me.
Well, and the thing is, like the thing that they talk about, and I hate to like boost another podcast on your podcast, but
fine.
But when they talk about in The Dream is that this was directly focused on like middle-aged housewives to be able to earn money because they couldn't work, but they could work from home and do all this stuff. And it's just such a scam.
Oh, yeah.
And like the first, can I talk about this scene? This scene where she's packaging up her plastilware to sell.
Yeah.
And she's little checklist and she's humming to herself and she seems like she's so happy and like this is her happy place. The family is gone. She's tidying and putting everything where it needs to be and putting little bows on it and getting it ready to ship. And then she just takes a bowl and puts it over her head and screams.
Yep. Screams.
And just sobs her eyes out.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I was just like, oh, Sue. Oh my God, I feel you so hard right now. Like,
you poor woman. Yes.
You woman who's like just trying to have a little bit of security for herself and a little bit. And also you realize that she knows that her, like, she's not living this beautiful Betty Crocker life where she thinks her husband's perfect.
Yeah.
She knows he's a fuck up and she knows that things are going to go wrong. And that's why she's stashing this like little pouch of cash in a plastic container labeled liver in the freezer.
Yep.
Nobody's going to fucking go in there. Right.
Yep.
Because nobody cooks but her. And like, oh God, it's just insane. But this whole thing with plastilware is so funny because
God.
Like her boss is just like, you can go like, I don't know, you just go do all the stuff. And she's like, sure.
Yeah. She
just has to do it.
Throwing all the responsibility on Sue. And Sue is, I think, again, kind of like going back to like the radicalization of the 70s was, I feel like her character, again, this is never talked about, so this is a pure assumption, but, again, probably her parents, her mom stayed at home and cooked and cleaned, and it's when things are generational like that and it's embedded in you from hundreds of years of ancestors behind you, I feel like, she is definitely a character that wants to change that. And again, it's easy to sit here and just laugh. Okay, she's selling plasticware in a pyramid scheme and it's horrible. Absolutely. But it's also like, those are the first steps towards progress. And
Right.
so for
Yeah.
that, I really do like her character.
I love it. Well, and you find out this isn't in season 1. Is it okay if I do a season 2 spoiler?
Yeah. Oh, 1,000,000%. Yeah, I
No
guess
spoiler?
we're going into the spoilers definitely at this point, people. So
So-
if you want to watch, we'll say this, if you want to watch Apples for Family and you want nothing spoiled at this point, maybe
It's too late.
Yeah, we're too far in. Sorry, but we're gonna definitely be talking about spoilers. So anyway, I'm sorry. Keep going. So later on in season 2.
So in like, this is in the first couple episodes of season 2, they start talking a little bit about their like Frank and Sue's dating period, and like we get some flashbacks to that era, and she's like studying like astrophysics.
Yep.
She's like super effing smart, and she just gave up all of that to be a housewife, and so like that puts all of this plasticware shit into perspective.
Yep.
That like, oh my god, this is what you have to do, So anyway,
it's the best thing, and it's sad because it's the worst thing.
It's the worst thing. But Sue is also, she occasionally is like the person who she gets what I like is like the mama voice, right? Where she's just like, everybody sit the fuck down, sit the fuck up, get your shit together, because I can't do this anymore.
And I also love those moments where Frank is trying to like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, appease, appeal to, where he's like, yeah, sweetheart, everyone listen to your mom, and like, oh look, your mom made frozen dinners again because she's really busy with her job needing plasticware. I love this steak, and she's like, it's pork, and he's like, even better, I love pork. Like he tries so
but it's
hard.
so empty, and all the kids are just like, yeah, whatever. And Kevin's just stoned the whole time, so whatever.
Oh
right?
yeah. And listening to Sheriff Frodo. And I love to when
oh, go ahead.
Sue is she's offered a full-time job at Plasticware, and Frank kind of, he ruins it. He gets on the phone with her boss and says, oh no, she's not interested, but he's, obviously lying. And he says, no, she's not interested in the job, without her permission, because he doesn't want her going to work, because he needs her to be a stay-at-home mom. It's his own intention, ambition, thrown upon her. And she finds out, and like you were saying, again, like that mom voice, there's like, it's like the mom thing. Obviously, I'm not a mother, but I've had a mother in my life of the...
Right. You have been affected by the mom voice at some point or another.
And one of my favorites is she when she finds out what he did, she stands up, gets her car keys, and just leaves. And they find her at the baseball thing where the thing like throws the balls at you, the batting cage. And she's just striking balls, and it's like, oh yeah, yep.
Yeah. And the guys are like, can you come home? We're hungry. Like,
yep.
Like, we don't know how to function without you. And that's the real thing, is like, the minute she leaves the home,
it's gone.
Every time Frank is left alone with the children, he's just like, I don't know what to do with you guys. Even though all 3 kids are capable of wiping their own asses at this point, he still doesn't know what the hell to do with them.
But it's like that weird, like, orderly control issues that he has of,
right?
Unless it's exactly as I wanted, it's incorrect. And I like, too, the moments where he just snaps and goes out of reality. Like, there's the one episode where, so again, Sue has left. She's out of the house, and it's Halloween. And he is giving the kids fucking baked ziti in their Halloween buckets and trash. And you can even hear one of the kids, because it's like fresh out of the oven. You can even hear one of the kids like, "Oh, you're melting my chocolate."
He just snaps and does the dumbest shit. It's so good. I mean, it really is good. It really is good.
It's got heart in the weirdest places. That's what I like about it. And I feel like, that's just life, like all the people that I love and all the people that I care about, I've argued with them, and you still find ways to connect and to stay with them, and the show definitely does that. And I think it encourages it, to say that no matter how bad things get, that's life, that's normal.
We were talking about Vic, and like my favorite scene of Vic of all time is the end of episode 6, where he's talking to Frank. It's Christmas Day, I think, Christmas Eve.
It's Christmas Eve. Yep.
And Frank is just in a shit place. He's absolutely terrible. And Vic is giving him a pep talk with no shirt on, choked out of his mind in the front. And then this reindeer shows up.
Yep.
And Vic's like, uh-oh. And the reindeer is obviously also on drugs.
Yes.
And he just goes, I gotta handle something real quick. Look, man, you're just having a bad night. And like the final scene is a zoom out, like a sky shot of Vic chasing this fucking reindeer all around the cul-de-sac.
Chasing an acid drugged up reindeer.
Oh, just absolutely. It was so funny. That was the first, I don't know, I think that was the first like absolute guffaw I had, was just like lost my shit at that moment. It was so funny.
I love to, again, it's just like, what I like about his character is just like the blatant truth of it all, because he doesn't care. And it's the same scene where he's outside on Christmas Eve, because again, like we kind of spoke about earlier, he is alone. He has a trillion friends, but they're not family. They're not his loved ones. So he's alone on Christmas Eve after he just threw this huge party. And he's outside and he's trimming his hedges alone, wearing shorts in the middle of winter and Christmas Eve. And Frank comes up to him and he's like, "What are you doing, man? Like, it's freezing out. Look at you, you're shivering." He's like, "Oh, I ain't shivering from being cold, Frank." It's like, oh my God, yeah. It's just...
Vic, I lost my job tonight.
Fucking Santa, man.
I don't know how to tell Sue. Christ, this is gonna kill her.
Nah, man, she'll be all right. She loves you. Your kids love you. You'll be okay. You guys are solid.
How would you know that?
I see you over there, cooking out, tossing the ball with the boys. It's beautiful. You guys are like a Norman Rockwell painting. You want a bump of whiskey?
Nah. Hey, where's all your guests?
Oh, Christmas is for family, Frank. I'm for the other 364 days of the year.
I'm gonna go inside. Hey, Vic, would you like to join us?
Yeah, I could seriously dig that, Frank.
There's also oh my gosh, I can't remember the character's name, the old Jewish man from World War II.
The Nazi!
That they think is a Nazi.
They call him a Nazi.
He has a number tattooed on his arm, and they think that's how many people he killed in the war.
This is what I love about shows with little kids, though, and I have to talk to people about this when we talk about like processing childhood trauma, is that like kids explain things to themselves that like if they had asked anybody,
yeah, that's a good point.
An adult could have explained what that was, but instead there's this whole mythos around the Nazi who lives down the street. It's just really funny. Kids are so they build this imaginary world. That's
a good point. I never really thought about that. I like that. And they definitely do that to this character on more than one occasion, because then they see the Star of David and they think he's a Satan worshiper because he thinks it's a pentagram.
Oh, right.
It's just like, oh my God. So this poor old man who is a Holocaust survivor is
so nice.
Yeah, he's just this super sweet old man who just wants nothing to do than help people.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll put on my counselor voice and
yes,
hurt people.
You heard it here, folks. That's a free mental health counselor.
Free mental health counseling. It's true though. I mean, like most people who hurt people have been hurt, and that's part of this show. Though we've talked about a lot of the really funny things, what struck me in the beginning was that it can be so intensely serious, and it really takes on some very serious topics of like, child abuse and racism and sexism and all that kind of stuff. And like, it's not afraid to go there.
No, not at all.
With some things. And I like that a lot.
Yeah, me too.
It grows on you.
What would you say as a mental health counselor? What is what is the thing that would like help this family the most? What would be your interpretation of that?
I mean, what would help and what would actually happen?
Yeah.
No, I mean, Frank needs to process his trauma from Korea, like, so importantly, because he is passing it on. Like, we talk about generational trauma, and like, he has obviously inherited a lot of trauma from his family because more than likely his dad fought in a war. Um, he talks about part of the reason he joined the military was because it was a kind of a tradition in his family, I guess. And I mean, in order to address that, he would have to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Which is just something that like Frank's not capable of because and he's not capable of it because nobody taught him how, right?
Yes, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Like this is definitely an era of like boys are not allowed to have emotions. Can't be a pansy, can't be a bitch. Like you have to be a man because that's sometimes a man has to do what a man does.
What's really funny, actually, I almost forgot. I had to tell you this. I said that once to you, or at least in front of you, at one of our beach home trips. I swear to God, I said that. Sometimes a man's got to do what a man does, which is a line from the Colt Luger TV show Inside This TV Show. And I remember you looked at me and you said, "What did you just say?" And I was like, "That's from the show I started watching." It all comes back. Yeah. But
that's so funny. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, you were like, what was that from? I was like, don't worry about it. But I'm sorry, I cut you off. So yeah, so he would definitely, I agree 1,000,000%. It's the men don't talk about their feelings warning label. And little by little, that's going away. And interesting on that note too, I've seen other movies and TV shows starting to introduce that idea as well, because I feel like that could be very helpful.
Sure.
For a lot of men out there to say it's okay to talk about your feelings. It's okay. It's good for you. It's healthy. And highly recommended and suggested. Mm-hmm. So,
well, that's one of the things is like, especially with, I don't know what generation we're on mm-hmm. anymore.
Yeah,
this is me being really old.
Mm-hmm.
But like the 2 generations down from me, or like the generation after me, are talking about being in therapy, mm-hmm. like, and they're more open to being on medication and going to therapy, and like this is becoming a norm for people, which is great, because for the longest time if somebody was in therapy it was like, oh, you must be fucked, and so I mean that's great for me in the right field, but also like it's really good. But I still get a large part of my practice is working with men specifically older men.
Interesting.
And I work with anger issues partially. Like part of what I do is with anger issues, and so it's very interesting. That's like a large portion of what I get. But helping, a lot of it is just helping men learn how to talk about their emotions in a productive way. Because therapy second. Mm-hmm. So like anger is the most accessible emotion a lot of times. And it's like, I am feeling a thing. I'm going to grab this because it's the easiest thing for me to express. Right. And we see Frank do that all the time. Like if you look at the points where he explodes, like he's not usually, the anger is an expression of frustration or embarrassment or disappointment, mm-hmm. or, a million other things that could be more nuanced, but he's just like, have hammer, will hit thing.
Yeah.
And that's what we see a lot when I do therapy with clients who come in, because mostly they're coming in because like some family members like, you need to be in counseling. And they're like, I don't even know why I'm here. I'm just mad. And it's like, well, there are a lot of other things too.
Yeah. That's just the start.
I bet you have a chewy nougat center just like everybody. And that's what we find out about Frank too, is like, as this show goes on, what endears him to us is that we're seeing his chewy nougat center instead of his hard candy shell.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. The humanity slowly seeps out of him. Very, very slowly.
Very slowly.
Molasses slow.
And then he shuts the gates again.
Yep. And he starts all over again. And that Yep, that boulder goes right back to the bottom of the hill, and we start all over again.
This is very true.
I kind of do like a if you like this if you like these 3 shows you might like this, but I don't. Maybe you can help me. I don't know. I can't think
like
of
what else might be like this. Like
Yeah.
if you like this for family, you might like Bam Bam Bam.
It's like the Amazon review. Like if you like Gatorade, you might also like Powerade. You know, so it's like I don't know.
You like F is for Family, you might like
Yeah, like if you like
professional wrestling and beer commercials. No, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't really know either.
There's nothing quite like it. I will give
Mhm.
it that. Like, I don't. Yeah, really isn't a whole lot out there. At least nothing that I've been exposed to. So
Same. I mean, it's definitely, I would say, like, if you're into adult humor, if you're into cartoons, but again, all adult-oriented cartoons, it's worth it. Dark humor, yeah, I would say if any of that sounds appealing, check out F is for Family, but
no, it's great. I really appreciate you requesting that I watch this because it is such a counterpoint to everything that I usually enjoy, and it forced me to look at something in a different perspective, and I really appreciated that. That was
cool.
thinkative.
Do you think would you have ever watched it without this little experiment, without this podcast?
I think I would have stopped after the first episode.
Yeah, okay, all right. There it is. So the secret formula is get asked to be on a podcast and then you'll watch the show. I guess that's
right.
it. So,
but it is worth it. It is definitely worth it. Don't stop at the first episode. Keep going. Keep watching.
All right, you heard it. You heard it from Zeke, mental health counselor. Don't stop at the first episode. Keep going. I guess that's it. We our next episode we're gonna talk about Schitt's Creek,
which is the opposite of this.
Another family TV show, but one that does make you feel happy when the credits roll. Thank you, Zeke. Thank you for being here with us today, and
thank you for having me.
Thank you, everybody listening at home, and F is for Family, and we'll see you next time.
And then he laid down on top of her and they wrestled. I think he won, but he's making noises like he's losing. And then a man on a surfboard asked me if I was tired of the same old toothpaste. Then a talking dog told me to help stomp out childhood rickets. And the Luger man came back and he said, "Here's seeds from next week." They showed them seeds. That's pretty good. And one of them is punching a lady man. Then a suit-wearing man came on to say there's some big fire in the woods somewhere, that there be film of it at 11. That film was pretty good.